This is wow. Hi guys, we are back. We are back. We are back. And I know you're going to share. I know you're all waiting to come back on. All right. And we're going to share and make this. Listen, we're going to fight. We are the people and we are going to fight. And us here in the Caribbean, listen, we're not going to back down. We're going to let our leaders know that we are going to stand together. We're standing together. So if you're joining, yes, keep sharing it, guys. Keep sharing. Share it, share it, share it, share it. Let truth prevail. And I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad they shut down the show. I'm so glad they shut down the show today because it says that somebody, I don't know who it is, but somebody has something to hide. Wouldn't you say that, Apostle London? Nobody
Most
here.
definitely. Most definitely. Because I kind of see that someone who's so innocent wouldn't want the world to see that they're innocent. And I don't
Right.
see why agents of theirs would have to make such great efforts to ensure that no one sees this interview. However,
Yes.
we're much wiser than what they're seeking to present. And I'm happy that there are persons who are still courageous enough to challenge leaders across the board to say that you're going to be accountable and you should be held accountable. And that
Mm-hmm.
we're wise enough to know then what you're seeking to do in reference to prohibit or to limit or contain access to information. It's not a good thing to do because persons would already know that, like with the election matter, the
Mm-hmm.
same PVP Civic Administration is doing their best to prevent the whole world, as they said, from
Mm-hmm.
seeing that Abu
Mm-hmm.
rigged the election. Now, how
Mm-hmm.
difficult? That doesn't make any sense to me. If you are accusing the opposition of being riggers, as they
Mm-hmm.
said, then allow the world to see what they did in the court of law. They don't want that
Mm-hmm.
either. So these
Mm.
actions are certainly nothing new. They normally prohibit my broadcast from meeting people, and they've admitted that they do monitor me. Of
Yes.
course, work as well. We monitored extensively by the
Listen,
members of
so
the
I have two troublemakers on here with me.
apparently so.
I guess they were sitting and waiting on this broadcast. And guys, we have to fight back. We have to fight back. And I'm telling you, this has put a fire inside of my belly right now. Okay, because I know that this broadcast, we all we're doing is reporting something that was reported before. You know, there's nothing, there's nobody's here being libelous or anything because it doesn't say that he did anything. These are only allegations, but it's going to cause me to wonder. I'm here in Barbados wondering, why are you targeting this show?
Right.
Why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Well, Marcia, you should let them know that you are Jamaican and a daughter of the Maroons.
Correct. Correct. And there's a fire in my belly, and I'm saying to Guyanese, Mr. London and Mr. Burke, I'm saying to my black Guyanese, wherever you're watching from, listen, rise up. And all I'm saying is to rise up and call for an investigation.
Yeah. And
Call
if
for
I,
an investigation. I was trying to play my, one of my friends, an older lady. She said, Marcia, go easy today. Go easy, they might sue you. But let me tell you something here, guys. What I'm saying is, and this is all I'm saying, these are allegations, right? This is all I'm saying. But I'm saying to black Guyanese, if you're listening to me, rise up. Rise up inside of there and demand an investigation. This is only right. It's the only just thing that you can ask for. This is so important right now. I plan to come on here and to behave like a real nice journalist and to think, but no, you messed with my program and I got fire in my belly for you. Fire in my belly for you. And I said, no, this has to stop. So I heard you, Reverend Apostle London, and you are a man of the cloth, and you are calling on the average Guyanese. I want you to speak to the Guyanese and speak directly into their spirit and speak into this situation today, because
thank you.
this is unjust. Go
It
ahead,
is,
sir.
and thank you. I appreciate that. I was about to say, and I am quick to say that I do not see this as merely allegations on the part of this matter, because Jagdeo, sitting in the seat that he does, to say that Sue handles agreements is in itself an issue, because it is not an allegation. He said it, that Sue, who is not an official of the Guyanese government, who has no part to play in even our political affairs in reference to parliamentary affairs, who doesn't work with the Ministry of Finance, is not an agent within or an actor on behalf of go invest, the Guyana Office of Investment. So how can Jagdeo say? Nobody said it on his behalf. He said himself that Sue handles the agreements. What does that mean? That is not an allegation. That's a statement he made. It's a self-incriminating statement because nobody made it on his behalf. And so I'm saying to Guyanese, we have to pay careful attention to what was said. Additionally, I cannot see how Sue could arrive at just saying that the boss in the person of Jagdeo is the one who would take money to take some medication somewhere to throw him off track. That he just pointed Jagdeo to more than rather than anybody else say these things. And to boot, Jagdeo, when he was asked by the interviewer about Sue Jerome, Sue? Who Sue? Oh,
yes,
Sue?
I saw that.
You could see it on his face.
Yeah.
So how did you not know? Because there are things that are telltale signs for us. And I'm saying to every Guyanese, including those of you who are of the cloth, those who are religious leaders and others, you have to stand at this time. This is an opportune moment for us to say that this matter involves, or the accusation involves, our patrimony. The benefit of our entire nation is at stake here. The well-being of our nation is at stake, I should say. And we should be the ones who should arise with courage, with vigor, and with passion to say that this man has to be dealt with. Because I hasten to remind people, we did not need Vice News to tell us that the issues regarding Jagdeo's behavior. He lives on a plot of land that is not owned by him. It is land that was designated to and known to be owned by those of African descendants, by African descendants. He got it at a lower rate, and that was before Soku Far.
But he said, but he said, I saw an interview and he was explaining that he got the land at market value, at fair market value, is what he's saying he got the land for. You know,
he was never supposed to get the land in the first place. That's the first problem we have, because the land is not owned by those who handed it to him. The land where it's located, just by Plaisance area, is known to be attached to certain ancestral ties. And there was a matter that was supposed to be brought or caused Jagdeo to be charged. It didn't come to fruition, but I'm saying that there are many things, there are many causes for us to rise again to say that this man must be not just investigated, he must be removed, because if he wants to parade around as though he were vice president and he has all this power, he should not have these clouds over his head. And he should not be one who's seen to be as such a corrupt individual. He should be removed. Most importantly, this man endorses one who sits in the seat of president, who I say again, had 90 fraud charges he was supposed to answer to in the court of law. He appeared, and then the director of public prosecutions dismissed those charges or discontinued them.
And you're saying 19, like 19.
19 fraud charges.
You talk. This is the president. So, guys, listen. You are watching, guys. Listen, Guyana isn't a real place. The president, it is alleged that he has 19 charges, fraud charges.
It's not alleged. This is established in the court of law. He went to court to answer to 19 fraud charges. However,
hold a minute. I have to ask, Mr. Burke, are you aware of this?
Absolutely. And not only does he have 19 fraud charges, so these fraud charges stem from when he was Minister of Housing. He allegedly committed a $270-something million fraud under the other PNC government, the previous PPP government. Now, his attorneys, and I don't want us to get distracted from BHARRAT JAGDEO, but I'm just giving the history of it. His attorneys challenged the charges in every court in Guyana, and every court ruled that he must stand trial for the charges because of a sufficiency of evidence to warrant the charges. So, and then the DPP, when he became president, dismissed the charges, withdrew the charges, or as the Constitution says, discontinue the charges. And she has done that for every single East Indian in the ruling party.
Yes.
Every single one, including an attorney who allegedly spat in the face of a black policewoman who was guarding his father's house. His father's the former Chief Justice. Not sure why he has police guards still, but he allegedly spat in her face and called her a black monkey The police refused to charge him. She brought private criminal charges, which you can do under the laws of Guyana. And the DPP, which is Director of Public Prosecutions, withdraw those charges too. So if you're a rich Indian in Guyana and you are connected to the PPP, you can't get charged. You could do whatever, including assaulting a police officer, and you're above the law because you're East Indian. What they're doing in Guyana is building an ethnocracy and an apartheid East Indian state where rich East Indians connected to the PPP are above the law. And let me say this. I know they're going to jump on me. Let me say this. Not every East Indian in Guyana supports the PPP.
Correct.
I'm talking, and not every East Indian supports their racism. They're perfectly law-abiding, patriotic, loving East Indians. We're not talking, and we support them, and they support us. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about the racist sycophants of the PPP who operate like they're a cult and like white supremacists in America. They call us black. Go on Facebook. They call us black monkeys, hungry belly dog. They call for us to be
I have
killed,
seen it.
etc.
I have seen it. I went and did my research.
They are all connected
and
to the
I have
PPP.
seen that is what
all connected to the PPP. The PPP is a racist anti-black party, the most violently and brutally oppressive anti-black political party in the Western Hemisphere. And the black people in the Caribbean should understand that and demonstrate and express solidarity with the African Guyanese and the opposition in Guyana and pull their governments along. Make their governments accountable to them, like me and Martin Barbados that support this anti-black government. I mean, it is shameful that me and Motley support this government. And many Guyanese have Bajan roots. So she's supporting racists in the government who are oppressing black people who are from Barbados.
That is that. I mean, you know, the thing is, you know, it seems as though some of our leaders, they follow the money. They literally follow the money. So you're going to find them. They will come and they're going to be hugging up those you know, leaders in Guyana, and because what? They're looking for money. So Mr. London, thank you so much for bringing that little because I couldn't believe 19, and as you being a lawyer, I wanted to hear from you. 19.
But it's not only the president, the attorney general, the current attorney general, Anin Nanlab. He was arrested and charged with fraud too for stealing government assets.
Guyanese, you listening?
The current minister of finance, he was also arrested and charged with a $400 million fraud. A former minister of public service, Jennifer Westford, she's black, she was charged with almost a $1 billion fraud. Currently serving in jail is one of their party members who was the accountant of the Guyana Rice Development Board, which deals with exportation of rice. He was arrested and charged with a $480 million fraud, and he was convicted and sentenced to 5 years in jail.
Jeez, oh man, I tell you, this is serious. This is serious, and my thing is, us here in the rest of the Caribbean, I don't understand when you read what is happening in Guyana and see the potential of Guyana and what's happening there, and people, you know, are turning a blind eye to it. You know,
Marcy, one of the things I should point out, and I'm here to come in again. One of the things I must point out is what the PPP has done is carefully established and cultivated the journalists in Guyana. I would 99% of the media in Guyana are East Indian, controlled by the PPP, and their job is to suppress any news coming out of Guyana. Listen, the Reuters news correspondent right now is traveling allegedly with a government team or the president or somebody, and he's a specialist. He has some connection to the office of the first lady, making threatening political partisan remarks against the opposition and the opposition leader just a few days ago, and he's a correspondent for Reuters. So when you see what is happening in Guyana, and you know, to some extent I blame the black leaders, because when they have power, they're not empowering the community, their community. They're not empowering the black population. They're not ensuring that black businesses are empowered. Black businesses qualify and are equipped to bid for contracts. Right now, we have been saying all government contracts go to East Indians. Without a question. And I had a conversation with one of the ministers just a few days ago. And he said to me, that is the function of the free market. No, they're not granting even, and the law says the contract goes to the lowest bidder. They're giving the contract to the highest bidder based on their political affiliation and their ethnicity. And the rest of the Caribbean must understand this, because whenever people start to protest in Guyana, right now they have outlawed protests. Pastor London protests and arrest him. Everybody that protests in Guyana getting arrested. And what they have been able to do is use the black house slaves in the police force, right? And the commissioner of police right now is a man who was in charge of a police squad that shot and killed 3 protesters where Pastor London lives and has never been held to account. Never. And anytime you speak out, they arrest you. Look, the Stabrook News. The Stabrook News just published some information saying that a minister is involved in the ownership of a company that's awarded a government contract. The police went and raided Stabrook News to find who leaked that information, rather than investigate the report. So we have a dictatorship in Guyana, and not only a dictatorship that is an ethnocracy, where they're utilizing all of the resources of the state for the benefit of the PPP East Indian community. And they put out a wanted bulletin for me because I've been criticizing the government. The Minister of National Security just announced that any critic of the government in the diaspora that go home, they're going to arrest them and hold them at a place. Not put them through the court or charge them. Arrest them and hold them at a place. We waited to see who they're going to arrest.
Wow. No, somebody said this, and Enid, I don't know where Enid is from. But Enid is saying other countries do not care about the Guyanese people, but what is in Guyana. And that is what hurts my heart, gentlemen. That is, I love Guyana and I love the people of Guyana. As I told you, I've been there, and here in Barbados, my best, if I put a team together, my best workers, the people that serve the best and most conscientious are Guyanese. And that's just the truth. And I say it all the time. And it's a shame. It is a shame that we continue what we're doing, and look as though this is not happening in Guyana. Look at what's happening in Guyana. If you're from Barbados or from any of the other Caribbean islands and you are watching this, guys, please share the live. Please share it among your friends. Okay, we love to talk about agriculture in Guyana, and Guyana could feed the rest of the Caribbean. If we allow it to implode, is it going to what's going to happen to everybody? Are we going to just sit down and just watch it implode and watch what's happening to our black brothers and sisters in Guyana? Apostle London, you are there. I know you are there in Guyana. We're not there. You are there. What's the sentiment on the ground? Are people, what are they, they've heard this this interview from Vice. What is this sentiment on the ground there in Guyana?
Thank you for asking. And I must say that I was not arrested. I was actually assaulted by the police officers. They didn't go as far as arresting me. I don't think they wanted to do that because they are aware that quite a few people are in support of my action, since I stand in defense of all Guyanese. I'm not racially inclined or so on, or racist in my demeanor. However, persons who saw this video or this documentary, I'm yet to meet one, apart from a government official, who says that they believe that Jagdeo was telling the truth or he's not lying. All of the people I've interacted with, all of them, 100% have said that they can see straight through him, that especially when he was asked, do you know, what about Sue Jerome and this bride taking? And who Sue? Who? Because he stuttered, but he was discombobulated, because he realized at this moment that there's something behind this question. And he never expected that Sue may have been one who would snitch, as they would say. So the persons on the ground here in Guyana are extremely upset. However, they are at the same time expecting, as Mr. Burke was saying, their leaders to stand in the opposition side and be more dominant and active, present, I should say, in reference to holding this man accountable.
So you're saying the people are waiting on the opposition parties to speak up?
the people, not just to speak, to act. They don't want speeches anymore. Persons are upset about press conferences nowadays and statements. What they want is that the opposition must be able to take their supporters to the street and stand in the city and other parts of Ghana to say that we are not going to allow another day to go by with this happening. They're waiting for their spiritual
wait,
leaders to step
Nandia
up.
is saying we're not getting any sound. Anybody else is hearing? Anybody else? Anybody else?
They'll respond.
Yeah.
Yes, but they're saying that they're also waiting for the religious groups and certain elements in civil society to arise to say that we have got to take to the streets as well, or take to our platforms in which we stand and deal with this matter. Because there's no way that Jagdeo should be meeting with anybody in his private residence to discuss his country's business.
Yes.
At no time at all.
But
So
but you know,
innocent of.
But you know, Mr. London, I'm Reverend London, I'm saying at a minimum, there has to be investigation. I mean, I think that even CARICOM needs to be calling for an investigation into what is happening. I think that the journalists in the region should be banding together on behalf of Guyana and calling for an investigation. Nobody's saying, you know, some people look at it and they believe, some people might not believe, you know, when they see it. But the point is that these are allegations, and that's what you do. You investigate. You investigate.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting, but what is there to disbelieve? If a minister or a member of the government, as high rank as Jagdeo is, such high ranking, meets with investors in his private residence to discuss the country's business, and he says Sue handles the agreement. I don't deal with I deal with the government side. What is it? What else do you want to see? He should not only be investigated, he should be arrested, he should be charged, he should be removed from office immediately. And because Irfan Ali, the one who sits in the seat of president, cannot do that, I'm saying that the opposition and other members of society should force this issue to make him leave office. Because for as long as he's there, he shall continue to spread his wings as though he owns Guyana and he owns the resources and by extension the people of this nation. He should not be allowed to continue for another day because he, by his own actions, would have terminated himself from any public office. You do not meet in your private residence to discuss the public's business in reference to investments in Guyana. Neither do you say that Sue is the person who handles agreements with the state of this country. That is unacceptable. And I'm saying this as a man of Yahweh himself, that this speaks highly of corruption and it must be dealt with. Because Jagdeo does not have the right to do what he would condemn other people from doing. He doesn't have the right to do that. He doesn't have the right to do this because at the end of the day, we must admit to the fact that he said that someone who does not sit in any financial or area of administration here, area of financial administration, is responsible for agreements in this country. He said it, and that's enough for him to be fired.
Listen, you know what? Someone is saying that some of the MPs are out already on the streets, and I think this is something that people need to just get out of your houses, guys. Get out of your houses, and listen. They can't kill everybody. They can't lock up everybody. They can't kill everybody, right? They can't lock up everybody, Mr. Burke. This is outrageous. These allegations are outrageous. And there is no way you are a Caribbean citizen. You listen to something like this and you're going to sit back and allow them to mash up the Caribbean and say nothing about it. There is no way. And I'm saying from where I sit, I'm saying Guyanese, those in the diaspora, you love your country. You love your country. Those that are within Guyana, call for an investigation at a minimum.
Yes.
Because you have to. You mean they will have to go to the law courts to find out if this is really true. Bring it to trial because you can't prove him guilty without having a trial. But let there be an investigation at a minimum. And while the investigation is happening, I'm saying, Mr. Burke, that he should be set aside.
Yes.
He should not be holding office while the investigation is going on. What's your thoughts on what should Guyana do now, Mr. Burke?
Well, before I answer the question, let me say this. BHARRAT JAGDEO has been getting away with murder in Guyana for a long time, literal murder. BHARRAT JAGDEO's government, when he was president from, I think, 1998 to 2011, or sorry, not 2011, 2000 and I think 2010, BHARRAT JAGDEO's government formed death squads that killed extrajudicially over 1,400 young black men who they claim were criminals. And he came to this country and boast that they were criminals. They were criminals. And they have this cavalier dismissal of the murders of these people, that they just bought equipment from Miami, spy equipment that you get, the military uses, put in your cell phone information, track you wherever you are, and send people to kill you. And they just executed these people. It was a genocide in the black population. He has never been held to account, right? And the other Caribbean countries have not said anything about it, because they accept Jagdeo's explanation that, oh, these people were just criminals. They were just criminals going about and harassing people and robbing people and kidnapping people and shooting people, right? Well, even their word is a process for that, right? And it's called due process under law. You charge the man and whatever it is.
Right.
And so Jagdeo has gotten away with that. And the PPP itself as a party has gotten away with that, because from 1961 to 1963, they traveled throughout Guyana and murdered black people and burned their homes and their villages. And that's called the disturbances of the 1960s. And there has never been accountability. Nobody has ever been held to account for it. And we got a different generation now. And all of these things, the extrajudicial killings, the corruption, the subjugation of the African Guyanese population in Guyana, the attempt to shut us out from development, block us from getting contracts, shut us out from the economic development of the country, all of this is leading Guyana to civil war. And I have been saying to the rest of the Caribbean for a long time that you're going to wake up one morning and see Guyana in civil war. Because, and the PPP and BHARRAT JAGDEO and Ali, they want that. They want that because they're preparing the military for it. They're buying arms. They're arming their people. They're buying water cannons and more pellet guns and all of these things, because they know that the population will not accept their oppression. Now, let me come back to the BHARRAT JAGDEO question. BHARRAT JAGDEO would not resign. The government would not launch an investigation. It is the international community and the people of Guyana have the power. All of the power lies in the people. The people will have to take to the streets and shut the country down. In every region and every district, take to the streets and shut the country down. Government can't move, commerce must not move, traffic must not move. Do what the Canadians do, shut the place down. Let them shoot you and kill you. And then the international community, and I'm shocked, I'm disappointed that the ABC ambassadors in Guyana, who by now have demonstrated that they're anti-Black. They're anti-Black. They fought with BHARRAT JAGDEO to put this racist government in office. The American ambassador, the Canadian ambassador, the British ambassador, and the European Union ambassador, they were so vocal during the Granger administration. During the elections in 2020 and during the recount period, they were out every day shouting, we want democracy, we want the rule of law to prevail, we want, from the time the PUP came to power, and people have been complaining about police brutality, no investigation. Corruption, no investigation. Racism, no investigation, and they are not speaking out. We understand, and the American ambassador in Guyana was appointed by Donald Trump. So based on her silence when it comes to injustice against Black people, it seems as though she subscribed to his Trumpism. And I could understand that. And she should be removed. Some members of Congress have called for her to be removed. The Biden administration hasn't removed her, but they're going to come in 4 years back to the Black people from the Caribbean and the rest of America to ask for their votes. But they can't remove a Trump ambassador from Guyana as yet. But I will hold my tongue further on that until next elections. I will remind them that we had an ambassador down there who is complicit with the injustice and the brutality and the racism against Black people in Guyana. But it is the people of Guyana that have to make sure BHARRAT JAGDEO is removed. BHARRAT JAGDEO right now is named as a defendant in the Inter-American Human Rights Commission for the disappearance and possible murder of a gentleman by the name of Corley Wills that his administration kidnapped, tortured, and murdered.
Hold a minute. This is getting, this is Guyana? All of this in Guyana?
Yes.
No, man, no, man. Someone here saying, shut down which country with what? Some cook-up rice protesters. You see that?
Well, that is Mr. Jagdeo's party supporter saying that that's their contempt for Black people. But Marcy, you better tell them that you're Jamaicans and y'all don't do that. Y'all shut the country down.
Yeah, when they say cook up rice, why is that?
They're calling you a rice eater. That they don't have respect for Black people. They're the ones that call us niggers. Them same people though. Those are the people I was talking about. And so when Jagdeo, they empower Jagdeo and his party because they get the support, but they're less than 50% of the population. They're less than 50% of the population. And every day they send their threats to people like me and the Apostle and others who speak up. Right now, on the Guyana Police Force page, there's a death threat against me that the FBI is investigating. Right now, there's a death threat against me on Irfan Ali, the president of Guyana's Facebook page, that they refuse to remove. Right? But I am waiting for them to touch me, and generations of them will disappear.
Oh my goodness! Look at this. I mean, so this is a derogatory term here. The you see, I didn't even know that.
What they do is they refer to those of African descent as hungry belly dogs
and rice eaters.
So they say that we cook up rice protesters because we're hungry. So what the opposition they say would do is they'll ask people to go or get you to go to protest just by the means of giving you some food to eat afterwards. That's how disrespectful these people are. And that is what Sarah Ann Lynch, the U.S. ambassador, is yet to condemn. That is what the U.S., the Canadian High Commissioner, the British High Commissioner, they behave as if they don't see these things, as if they're unaware of these things. And that is why we need to have the likes of BHARRAT JAGDEO brought to justice. By whom? The people standing resolutely to say that we are going to stand up for our rights. Because beyond the race issue we also have a class issue.
Right.
Where even those of African descent who are joining forces with those who despise African descendants because of class. They're now saying we are wealthier, we have a little money. And it's sad to hear, my sister, that the young men of African descent who now saying that we have to eat. Everybody has to eat. So they are prepared to watch their brothers and sisters die and suffer injustices because they're making money on the backs of these people. And these are the things that we continue to speak about. And we are deemed to be the enemies of the state. I don't mind being the one.
My goodness. My goodness. Oh my
Somebody's reminding me as well that a permanent secretary who is a supporter or member of the political party, the current government political party, when they lost the last election, he was caught with $10 billion in his bank account that he couldn't account for. $10 billion in his account.
Who is this? Who is this?
A permanent secretary. He was permanent secretary in the office of the president.
Yes.
Oh my
$10 billion.
He said he got it from selling phone cards. I need cell phone cards tomorrow.
But you know what, Marcia? He was not held to account because President Granger wanted to be a nice boy and said, we want reconciliation and we want to live in peace and so on. And meanwhile, the PPP was working to undermine his government, working with their people to get arms and so on in the country to their supporters, working to try to overthrow David Granger. That's what they were doing. And eventually they did overthrow him by allegedly bribing, because it was a one-seat majority government, bribing allegedly a man named Charandas Fasad, who then they filed a no confidence motion in Parliament, and he was on the government party, and he voted for the no confidence motion. He crossed the floor, right? And the courts validated that when the law said you can't do that, right? But the court validated it. Sharon Das was then whisked away to Canada. He's a Canadian citizen. Now he was appointed ambassador to India. And let me say this. The then Minister of National Security on the BHARRAT JAGDEO was part of the death squads. Somebody from the phone company leaked his phone records showing every time there's a killing, the death squad leader called him. Or before the killing, the death squad leader called the Minister of National Security, which means they were coordinating. The United States government under George Bush forced him to resign, right? And they had a sham investigation, and BHARRAT JAGDEO appointed him back after the investigation, and the US said, none of it. This man is involved in crime in Guyana. He can't be a minister. They then gave him diplomatic immunity and made him ambassador to India also.
Listen, people, are you hearing this? Are you hearing
And
this?
his name is Ronald Gadraj. Google it.
Are you here? This is, I'm telling you, I see Bajans on here listening, and they're in shock. Listen, guys, please, if you're from Barbados, from any other country other than Guyana, and you are watching this, please share. They just shut down my live earlier because I did nothing but had these two wonderful
But Marcy, on the live that they shut down, you and I were talking before, and I told you that would happen. Now, let me say this. They allegedly paid a lobbyist in the United States to do this, to make sure that that video of BHARRAT JAGDEO discussing allegedly a bribe in his living room and saying Sue handles all the contract. They paid a lobbyist, I heard, over $11 million to make sure that that video is wiped from the internet. But yesterday, he was at a press conference and he claimed the video vindicated him, right? Trumpism. And it's the Republicans, they have Republican Trump consultants advising them. So Trumpism in full swing in Guyana in the government. But so I'm wondering, if the video vindicates him, why would you pay $11 million to wipe it from the internet? Mr. Darrell, come on, explain that to us. Explain that to us.
Yeah, because
we want you to promote your vindication. Let the world see the video. Come on, Barrett. You can do better than that.
All we did was play. Nobody said he did anything. We were just playing what Vice News. Normally, I do that. That's a regular thing that I do on the program. So Vice News, if anybody puts out anything CNN and I could play a piece of it on my show, it's a normal thing. I've never encountered that. Where
they have a group, Marcy. Marcy, they have a group coordinated out of the Minister of Information's office.
Yes.
Like Pastor London said, they target us. They have written Facebook, the United States government, the State Department, the White House about me, and their objective is to get social media to shut down our accounts. And so what they have their little Facebook group with like 30,000-40,000 people. And when we come on live or whatever, they would file reports about this video. So their supporters would then 10,000, hundreds of them, whatever, will go to the video and file all these hundreds or thousands of complaints with Facebook that we are promoting violence, we are violating copyrights, we are harassing them, we are promoting, and then Facebook would act. So that, and then they also have a machine that sends these automatic complaints as well. So that's what they want to shut every Black person in Guyana down from, because they dominate the media. We can't get any of our views in the media in Guyana, in the mainstream media. They shut it down. So now social media has come about and we can talk, right? They can't attack me. They can't kill me like they killed the journalists in Guyana before. The world is watching now. They can't kill Pastor London because under their previous government, he would have been dead already.
Oh, definitely.
Right? And so now they're finding the Republic, they're using the Republican means to shut us down. And the rest of the Caribbean will wake up one morning, I'm saying it, and see Guyana imploding with a civil war. And they'll be like, oh, when did this come about?
Right,
it is simmering. Because Black people in Guyana will not sit anymore. Black people, Amerindians, and East Indians who don't support them will not sit anymore to be oppressed and subjugated. These people believe they're the new plantocracy. They believe that they're white, they're the slave owners. Black people are slaves. That's what they believe, literally. literally. But this generation of black people would not tolerate that. They can't go and murder from village to village like they did in 1963, because this generation of black people ain't gonna tolerate it. But you know, the black population in Ghana is very peaceful. They want to just mind their own business, mind their family, go to work or whatever it is, and they're not engaged fully like Jamaicans and the Trinidadians and the Grenadians and the Barbadians in the polity, the national polity. So we have to now use education and information and mobilization to educate them, to let them know what is happening. The country is for sale. We in the diaspora have more information about what is happening in Guyana than the people in Guyana, because of the information blackout
that is happening there. But
yes.
you know, and someone is saying here that if we don't know, you can play copyrighted video. The thing is, guys, is that what I'm saying is that this is something, if there's a video on YouTube, you could play a portion of a video on YouTube.
Once it's published, you can play.
Once it's published, it's normal. So what we're trying to explain to you is that somebody is afraid. So I am telling you, I am not from any political party. I'm not involved in the politics of Guyana. I don't know anything. Okay, I just decided to play something that, as I do know, it's a normal occurrence. Okay, normal occurrence, and my whole show was shut down. And I didn't have anybody naked on here. I didn't have anybody cursing. I didn't, nothing. Okay?
That's what they're doing with the oil money, Marcy. That they're not building roads and so on in black communities, but they can use the money to shut you down.
The viewership down to zero, and somebody said that the group tracks people Facebook accounts. It seems like, but you know, I'm back to you, Reverend. You know, as I said, it's great to see a pastor, an apostle involved in this, because some people are saying that even reading some of the what's happening here, the comments, they're making it a political issue. So the thinking is that you know, people are on the other side, and so that's why they're calling for his resignation. As a man of the cloth, do you think that this is a political lynching of this man?
Well, I'm happy that people do that, and it gives me an opportunity to seek to educate, and in some instances re-educate persons who are in Ghana, and hopefully today in the Caribbean at large. When persons look at me, for example, as a man who is seen as a preacher, I am one, and they say, well, you should not be involved in politics, it's because they don't understand what politics really is. Politics simply means to govern, and how a nation is governed. I should have, more than anyone else, a great interest in how things happen around me and the affairs of my country. I'm Guyanese. I have children, and I have an interest in how my country is governed. So my interest, there's a difference between being politically affiliated and having an interest in political affairs. I have an interest in political affairs. I have a right to be. We are all involved in politics. If we are not, then we're not living in the democracy. Democracy speaks to the people governing. Am I not a person? If I'm a person in Guyana, I'm a citizen of this country, then I have every right to be a part of the governance of my country. We're not governed by the PP Civic. We're governed by democracy. The PP Civic is the administration at this time. We have an official opposition, and the people are the ones who elect them to represent us. We're not governed by them. They serve us. And we have to get it right. We're governed by a democratic system where the people rule. We call the Cooperative Republic of Guyana because republic speaks to the people governing. So how can I be a person in the country and not be a part of governing it if I am included in a democratic society? So I commend those who seek to say that, oh, how do you have a preacher involved in this? I make it clear all the time. I issue a disclaimer that I'm not a member of PNC. I'm not a member of APNE FC. I don't support PPP or any one of those parties, including APNE FC. I support good governance. I represent a group called the People's Movement. And as a leader of that group, I make it known that the people of Guyana by name must move the nation forward by means of this nature. We have to develop an attitude as people to understand that if ever they call your society a democratic one, you are involved in politics because you determine who governs the country and you have a voice in the affairs of that country. That's what we need here. So as one who is representing not only saints in the kingdom of Yahweh, but Guyanese at large, I speak today that BHARRAT JAGDEO, and if you ask me, even Irfan Ali, should never be ruling this country because of what is over their heads. Their attitude, the discrimination, and there's so many things that can be brought against these people that we don't need Vice News for. However, on Vice News, it is said that, okay, Vice News may not have shown it, Sue owns about 40,000 acres of land in this country. I can't get 10.
What were you talking about, Sue?
Sue.
So, hold a minute. All that going in my head is like, who the hell is Sue?
Thank
who
you.
Who is Sue?
Friend. That's what he said. His tenant, who paid
Sue is the bad man.
Huh?
Sue collects the money.
Sue lives in Jagdeo's house for $1 million per month rent. That's $12 million a year. Sue owns 40,000 acres of Guyanese land. And he also has some ownership, they said, in the oil blocks. I don't know any. And I mustn't have an issue with that as a preacher. So why should I sit back and allow Guyanese to be disenfranchised by the likes of Sue? Sue is not an angel. By the way, he should be jailed too.
I'm thinking Sue is somebody that is new to everybody. They don't know who this Sue is.
No. Sue is a major hitter in this country, a major hitter, a major player.
So how did he say in the first interview like he didn't know like Sue? Like Sue?
His tenant. He doesn't know his own tenant who pays $1 million a month in rent. He doesn't know the person. He has no clue who's renting his house.
Oh my gosh.
And I repeat that Sue owns 40,000 acres. He has access to it. 40,000 acres of land in this country that has resources, timber, and possibly gold and diamond. That man, Sue, as well as having a part in the oil blocks.
So is Sue Chinese? I don't know. Yes, please don't laugh at me. I just don't know. I'm just hearing
That's
Sue.
Okay. Sue is Chinese. He's Chinese. He's a Chinese national. He's a Chinese national, and they claim that he's a part of the Chinese Communist Party. And he was sent here to be that conduit through which you're going to do business with Jagdeo and the likes. So who knows? Because you saw at the table, at the restaurant, how many Chinese were surrounding him and interacting with him because Sue is that conduit. But Sue is Jagdeo's tenant, and Sue owns or has a lease for 40,000 acres of land in my country, and I can't get 10.
As somebody here saying we can't get a little piece.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. So
acres.
Sue is Chinese. I didn't understand that. You understood that. I guess everybody, you all know this. We over on this side, we don't know anything. We literally don't know anything.
And that's what Mr. Burke was saying. Sorry, but that's what Mr. Burke is saying. Because the PPP controls the media, they control what essentially most people in the Caribbean, the wider world, would hear and know. Granger failed to empower the media on the African side for whatever reason. They have got the most ludicrous and depressing fees attached to media houses in this country. To have a television license, you pay $15,000, just about $16,000 US per year, $3.5 million. The average person can't afford that, and radio license. So they would empower their people, the propaganda machine. So you won't hear certain things. And that is why when we come on these platforms, we have the means now to distribute to the world unedited information about the corrupt people in this country. And that is what they hate. And the scripture told me that I must expose the unfruitful works of darkness.
Yes.
And I'm doing it.
We need more of the pastors. The pastors. This is something that there is no way. If you're a righteous man or a righteous woman, this can't be something that you're just going to turn a blind eye to. This is not at all. That's not godly.
You are walking up my street here now, Marcy. Don't do that.
No, but it's not godly, and that's why I said it. Yeah.
Hear me, if I can, my sister.
Yes.
They can't do it when, for one, they are politically appointed to chair boards and chair commissions. They're paid. The preachers I'm talking about. Some of the most prominent preachers in this country have got board appointments. And they're not being touched, by the way, when the government changes. They were appointed to chair commissions and boards. So how could they say anything? These men can, the politician can say, no, I give you land. I give you a house lot. I give your church this. I give a church donation. There is no political figure or businessman in this country that can say I went to ask them for $1. Why? Because the name of my God must not be brought into disrepute at any time. And I must be also free to speak without chains that bind me. I remember when people were saying the most derogatory things about Africans. African preachers were quiet because they were already bought and paid for. I refuse to be bought. I prefer to be dead than be purchased by any man, because my right to speak as a righteous man must not be controlled by $1. I am not paid a salary by a church either, because I must be free to talk.
Yes, you see, I am like you, and I'm like you. I'm telling you, and that's why if you are a believer and you're watching, and you're going to say, you're going to pray about it. Prayer is one thing, but you need to move. Us as Caribbean people, and I'm looking right in the camera. Let me take off my glasses and talk to you all in Guyana right now, because a lot of you over there, you're Christian people. You're love to pray. You're intercessor. That alone is not going to solve it. That alone that's the first part of it. You need to join with Mr. London here and the others and get out on the streets and let righteousness run like a river in the streets of Guyana.
Yeah.
This
Marcy, you sound like a preacher.
No. I am telling you, I'm a believer as well, and I use this medium. I tell you, to speak out against injustice. But I said I was going to come on here, and a friend of mine, she was in politics, and she said, Marcia, when you go on today, just be calm. Don't do this. Don't do that. Them people wicked. Be careful. Whatever. But when they mess up my show, that's it. That's it. Because I didn't come on here to bother anybody. I was just reporting. I was just echoing and giving you guys a platform to speak. But now you're going to mess up my thing. No, it is showing me that somebody, I don't know who it is, somebody has something to hide. And so I'm speaking to Guyana. I'm speaking into the belly of Guyana, speaking to you and saying to you, rise up and ask the questions. All you're asking is an investigation. There has to be an investigation. If this was in America, I am telling you,
he would have been finished. He would have been prosecuted. He would have been prosecuted. But, and Marcy,
yes,
I'm saying this again. The American ambassador put out a statement that was hogwash. The statement says, in every democracy, there must be accountability and they must adhere to the rule of law. That's what she said. What trash is that? In America, where she comes from, she can't do that. No. She can't have no, well, under Trump, she went to the home of somebody on the investigation of terrorism in Guyana. So, I don't know. But I know she can't do that now under this administration. And it is the international community. It is not only Guyanese. It is the responsibility of the international community to make sure that there's accountability in government. It is the responsibility of the international community to make sure there's good governance and that Guyana, the government of Guyana, whoever it is, adheres to the democratic ethos. We can't have two standards, one for a black head of state and one for East Indians, because them here straight like the ambassadors here. These people despise black people. If you come to America, you see how the Republicans treat black people. The American ambassador in Ghana was installed by a racist tyrant. In Europe, the British ambassador, she comes from a country that mistreat black people. In Canada, they do the same thing. So to me, there's silence when it comes to injustices and depriving African Guyanese and political opposition supporters of justice, of economic development, of empowerment. To me, it speaks their language. That's why they're silent, because they're accustomed to seeing black people oppressed. But it's unacceptable. And we must also call for non-white ambassadors from these countries. Too many white people come to our country and bring their culture of anti-blackness to the country. It is time for radical change in the Caribbean. And I want to say that black people in the Caribbean, and of course I'm black and I'm proud to be black, the black people in the Caribbean must make sure they stand with the black people in Guyana. They're not more than us. when we stand together as a region, the
Correct.
PPP and the UNC in Trinidad is probably 9%. So the people in Jamaica and the people in Barbados and St. Lucia and St. Vincent and Grenada and Montserrat and Antigua and St. Kitts and all and Jamaica stand with the people in Guyana. We're kith and kin. We're all one. And we were enslaved together.
That's
and
right.
if you have a group of racist oligarchs in Guyana trying to enslave Black Guyanese, they're trying to enslave Black people in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean too. And Mayor Motley stood up at a conference in Guyana and called BHARRAT JAGDEO a racist, her brother, right? So I want to know if she also benefits from gifts and gratuities from her brother. I want to know that. Because
So hold a minute. She called who a racist?
No. I'm saying she called the racist BHARRAT JAGDEO her brother.
I see.
Right? Not once has she ever spoken out of the racism in Guyana. Not once. But she parades up and down, and then she wants to go on the international scene, in the national community, and on international forums to talk about empowerment of Black people and call for reparations when she's embracing, supporting racists who are oppressing Black people in Guyana. Who got Bajan roots? Who got Bajan roots?
And even if they don't have Bajan roots, the point is that, you know what? I mean, this is happening there. And everybody knows why she's going there. You know, I think the average Bajans listening, they know why she's going over there. So they very much understand why they're following the money. It's like honey, bees and honey. You know, that is what is happening, I believe. You know, that's what I believe is happening.
Well,
there.
they just made a deal with the city to give Barbadian young people land in Guyana. Which Black person in Guyana could go and get land from this government? They're taking away lands from Black people. All the rich Black businesses in Guyana that got lands under the last government, they tried to take it away. The Attorney General went to Berbice and told his East Indian supporters, go and occupy the ancestral lands of Black people. The Black people there should have given them the slave's response, which is to rebel against it. But like I said, Blacks in Guyana are peaceful people. Let me put it that way, peaceful people. But we are also descendants of indomitable slaves who rebelled and conquered slave masters. Don't test me, because when we start to go, you ain't got no stopping. That's why I'm saying the rest of the Caribbean needs to intervene in what is happening in Guyana, because when civil conflict erupts in Guyana, there will be no stopping, because there's only so much you could push. And these people are pushing and pushing. They're transferring every single dollar and all the wealth and resources of Guyana to the East Indian population. But the Black people, ancestors, built Guyana.
Right.
And we are part of Guyana. And the rest of the Caribbean and the international community must make sure equitable governance in Guyana. Equitable governance must make sure that there's justice. Make sure that all of us, everybody, adheres to the rule of law and the principles of democracy and the constitutional doctrine of equal protection under the law for everybody, which means you got to treat everybody equally. That is not happening in Guyana. And when Congressman Jeffries, the chairman of the Democratic Caucus in Congress, says that the government is not treating everybody equally, BHARRAT JAGDEO ran out and said, oh, he gave the Republican response, oh, he doesn't read, he's uninformed. A man who went to 3 Ivy League schools with an education that's on parallel to anybody there in Guyana, he wants to tell his sycophants, just like the racist Republicans would say, oh, he's uninformed. You know, Black people, you know what you're talking about. And those are the same people, the PPP in Guyana, who was backing Trump against the Black Lives Matter movement. They went on their social media and said, forget about Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. They don't understand that for the Republicans, Black people's lives don't matter. Or for the racists, Black people's lives don't matter. So they deliberately, I would say, because they're so anti-Black, adopted the Republican counter message to Black Lives Matter. Then this same government went to the United Nations and voted against a resolution to end racism around the world. That Jagdeo government right there went to the United Nations and voted with Trump against the resolution calling for the elimination of racism around the world. Now the Caribbean understand what kind of government we got in Guyana.
I tell you, and I'm as you're you're talking, and I'm watching at looking at these pictures with our Prime Minister here, as you can see here, with Mia Mottley and this man, as you said, she calls him is her brother.
Yes.
You know, and she's all up into everything that's you know, Guyanese at the moment, right?
Yeah,
She deliberately does it. She deliberately does it because during the elections, when she poked her mouth into Guyana's internal affairs to back them, the Black population condemned her, vehemently. So she does that as an in-your-face kind of job at the Black community in Guyana because she wants to show, as a matter of political vengeance, I gonna black them racist. I gonna back the racists against y'all because y'all insult me and criticize me and went on social media and maligned me. So I'm gonna back the racists. That's what she does. That's what she's doing. That's the message she's sending to me. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah. Wow. And you know, I mean, this is something else that is going on here. Apostle London, how you know, do you have pastors and other leaders who are with you in this?
Not many. There's one, Apostle Cleveland Thomas, who has stood with me consistently. There are others who would say they're standing, but they are not willing to come forward. But Mr. Thomas, Apostle Cleveland Thomas, is one who would have been in the streets with me. He stood in many protests. He speaks as passionately as I do regarding or against injustices. He calls people out for exactly what they are. But there aren't many of them because the fear is that they're going to suffer economic losses. And as long as the preacher has to be concerned about what he loses, he or she, then they'd be less likely to say things or speak out against injustices. So there are not quite a few of them who are public in their support. There's some of them, interestingly, who asked if I would consider being in political race for governing the country or to aid in its governance. Some of them say, please, we need the likes of you, but they won't come to support me publicly. So I guess I'm supposed to be the sacrificial lamb of some sort to step in front and be hated and despised. Some have warned me to be careful because you have to be, they said, mindful of Jagdeo and what he can do to me. And my question is, what can he do to me? I don't fear any politician in this country because all of them will have to use a member of the Ghana Police Force or somebody to come to me. Now, if you have to use someone to come to me to do your bidding, then you're the weakest person I know because I don't use anybody to tell you how I feel. I tell them exactly how I feel about them, if it's complimentary or otherwise, because I don't need somebody. I don't need a puppet to use on a string to try to get at somebody. But there isn't much support here in that regard. And I must say as well, if Bajans don't know, Mia Mottley and Irfan Ali, they have a deal whereby Bajan youth stand to gain 50% of land, or 50 acres, in Guyana, by the way. Here again, Guyanese can get 1 acre, even 100 by 100 feet, half an acre, readily. And our president is
Guyanese blacks
especially, exactly, is eager to give 50 acres of land to Bajan youths, while youths here have to be walking the street and accused of being robbers and all the rest of it. We can get land, essentially, readily for agriculture. But the president of this country and who's sitting in that seat, that person, can give our land away because that is the kind of injustice about which we speak. It should not happen. We should not be suffering in this manner at all, and more so, preachers, I say again, even for the Muslim community, the Hindus, well, they have nothing to say if you ask me, most of them. But we have to arise beyond this to see injustice for what it is. I don't want to see bloodshed in my country. I don't want to see destruction in this country. I don't want to see a civil war in Ghana, which is why I'm so vocal. And I'm saying we have to, as a people, get together and recognize that our enemies are very few. Very, very few. The wider population have a problem in this country. It's a few greedy people on both sides of the political aisle who are causing us to be subjected to this kind of inhumane treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So we must recognize who our enemies are, and even across the Caribbean, recognize who are the ones who are against you. And if they want to side with or take part in your oppressor, your oppression, and side with your oppressors, then they're your enemies. And I've seen the imperialists, the neo-colonialists arising across the Caribbean. They're coming to say that they want to have ownership. May I inform you all that in this country called Guyana, a Guyanese in our capital now in the city cannot, the average person, even middle income, afford to rent an apartment. It is as high as $8,000 per month for a 2-bedroom apartment in this country. When the average middle income earner will earn about, let's say, $1,500 or maybe $800 per month. The rent is as high as 8,000, 10,000. So they are shutting Guyanese out of their own community. You can't live in certain neighborhoods anymore. You can't afford to buy a house in certain neighborhoods anymore. You can't afford to buy land because these oligarchs here are ensuring that what we own, before you know it, will belong to those they believe they are welcome, in whose circles they're welcome. But they have a rude awakening coming for them. So we must have a great support. We must have great strength. We must have a for unity, because we can't afford to see bloodshed on our streets. Why? The police will protect those who really are enemies. And I have an issue.
You know, as we're going to close, but can I ask Mr. Burke? Mr. Burke, what could Guyanese who are living overseas, what can they do? I mean, I hear Mr. London asking the Guyanese at home to get out on the streets and demand an investigation. What can the Guyanese in the diaspora, Guyanese in Barbados, Guyanese in Trinidad, Guyanese throughout the region, Guyanese in the US? There's so many Guyanese that are all over the world. What can they do?
Well, Guyanese in the diaspora know exactly what is happening in Guyana. They listen to all of us. They listen to all of the social media talk shows. They listen to the news via social media. They know what is happening. What they have to do is get involved, team up with red nationals from wherever they live, if it's Barbados or Trinidad, and write the government, push the government to speak out. Caribbean governments are very hesitant to get involved in what's happening in Guyana, even when in the days of the murders of Black people, because they don't want to be attacked by BHARRAT JAGDEO. I'm not sure if you know, but recently they had a vicious racist attack on Keith Rowley. The Attorney General of Guyana allegedly went to Trinidad and sat with his enemies. As a matter of fact, they tried to get one of the people from the UMC, the opposition party in Trinidad, to be appointed the Consul General in Trinidad. When the Prime Minister rejected that, they launched a vicious racist attack on the Prime Minister, where they even went into Trinidad and sat, I know the intelligence, and sat with his enemies and tried to plot against the Prime Minister of Trinidad. You would have heard Jagdeo also lie about the performance of the Trinidadian economy so as to help the political opposition and Kamla Bissessar Prasad. So they want to form an axis, an ethnic axis between Guyana and Trinidad. Now, the people in the diaspora, especially in the United States, in Canada, in the United Kingdom, write to your members of parliament or your members of Congress. Have meetings with your local politicians. That's what we do here. That's why in Brooklyn, we got things covered. We got it on a lock. Our members of Congress are involved. They know. We keep them informed. Everything that happens, we keep them informed. That's why they have been speaking out. And that's why BHARRAT JAGDEO and his people in the PP have been telling their people to come and vote them out. They ain't not voting out nobody. They can't come with that here. But, and they have paid their lobbyists to campaign and put out literature against elected officials in New York, specifically Hakeem Jeffries, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, and Eva Clark. You should see the vicious, nasty, racist literature that they put out in 2020 elections against Hakeem Jeffries and Eva Clark. But what they don't understand is that Hakeem Jeffries comes from a long line of patriotic Americans, Black conscious Americans. He is the foremost civil rights leader in America fighting for voting rights, fighting for women's rights, fighting for black rights. They can't stand up to Hakeem Jeffrey. They will get crushed. Right? So that's why they're teaming up with the Republicans and the Trump Republicans to fight the Democrats and fight us here in the diaspora. It's a vicious, nasty political party, the PPP, but they'll be defeated. And so the people in the diaspora have to get more involved. Right now, we're working on a plan to hire a lobbyist too here to lobby against them, because we can't allow them to sit in Guyana and deprive us of our constitutional rights here to free speech. I would never allow BHARRAT JAGDEO or the PPP to silence me. Right now, they blocked me from his page last night because I promoted a show to respond to his press conference. They blocked me. Everything about these people is either shutting you down, silencing you, blocking you, and if they don't get through that, they kill you. They kill you. That's why every 2 days the NYPD is at my home or my office, the FBI calling me something because of the death threats. And I am more determined. And like I said before on another program or probably earlier, if they touch me or anybody from the diaspora or anybody's family, the response is going to be unprecedented. Because this generation of people, and from the 60s where they kill out all the black people and burn their homes and villages, we ain't tolerating that. It's going to be an eye for an eye this time, an eye for an eye. And I want to say finally, Congressman Jeffries called for equitable governance. They're opposed to that. They come out attacking him. USAID called for equitable, fair governance. They say USAID wrong. These people think God dead and left them Guyana. They think they hold the title to our country and the oil. They almost killed President Granger to get into power, to get their hands on the oil money. A study showed that from 1992 to 2011, when they were in power, they stole $5 billion US from the government. $5 billion. We even have oil there. So you can imagine what is going on now. And they're using their money to attack members of Congress, black members of Congress, to attack us here in the diaspora, and to shut down every outlet of information that lets the truth out of Guyana. And so we in the diaspora have to now fight that. We have to support Pastor London. We have to support the political opposition. We have to support civil society organizations that are working on the ground to build communities, to empower people. We have to support that. Look, a little boy was shot and killed by a police officer, pretending to have a sting operation, but wanted to kill him because of some girl conflict. He's going to be buried on Saturday. The government has not said anything.
Wow.
Right? An Indian lawyer spat in a police officer's face, black woman's face, called a black monkey, and said black people have no purpose in life. The government has not said anything. Anytime there's a police brutality and attack against black people, the government rejoices. They stay quiet. Because they want black people to be intimidated and feared by their police and their army. But this time, a long time, as Pastor London just said, a rude awakening is coming.
Yes, yes. You know, I'm looking here on this picture, you know, where they're so close. You know, the Prime Minister Mia Mottley is all up into you know, this leadership. This president who has 19 counts of fraud. And this is the Prime Minister who is supposed to be this international figure.
Listen, she said he cooks for her and sends it on a plane in Barbados to Barbados. He cooks for her.
He cooks for her and sends it. This is a man that has 19 counts.
Yes, she said it. But listen, the first time Mia Mottley, I guarantee you, the first time Mia Mottley speak out against racism and she accept a meal, that might be her last day.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know,
because they're known for doing that. I am not threatening the Prime Minister by the way. They're going to go and say that. That's why I am saying that the PPP government will attack her the first day she criticizes them.
And so you're telling me he sends her meals to her on a plane. This is how much money they have to waste.
That's what she says. She says it, not me. She says it. She said he wakes up early in the morning, he cooks for her, and he sends her on a plane. Not necessarily every day, but whenever he wants to do it, I guess.
Wow, and that is a kind of relationship, you know, that is happening. And I will tell you guys that we're seeing a trend in Barbados where people are so afraid to speak out. There's being afraid to speak out. And you know what is amazing, Reverend London, and I'll give you the final words today, but there's so many Pan-African groups that are all over the Caribbean, especially here in Barbados. You have the David Commission. And I'm wondering if he wasn't up underneath in Mia's administration, what would have been his stance about what's happening in Guyana? But the Pan-African groups in Barbados and throughout, I know for Barbados for sure, have been bought out by the Mia Martin's administration. So they're not speaking up for Black people. Here you have this Black prime minister, you know, up in arms. He's flying, sending her food, Guyanese food from Guyana to Barbados, right? And there's no concern as to what's happening to Black people in Guyana. Yeah. And I'm telling you, I don't believe it's just food he's sending to her. It's not just food. There is something that she's after, and everybody in Barbados knows what it is, because every time she gets on a plane and goes anywhere, we hear how many millions we get. Wherever she goes with a handout, and she come back full up of money. So we understand what this whole that relationship is all about. You don't have to say it. I'm going to say it. Yeah. So, Reverend London, what is it again? I want you to speak to the people. You are on the ground in Guyana. You are connected to the people. Speak to the people. Speak to the soul of the Guyanese, please.
I appreciate that, and I must, because the United Nations itself would have said that the decade 2015 to 2025 would be focused on those of African ancestry. More than anything else, they said that it must also focus on how we've suffered for so long. And countries must give attention to the fact that those of African ancestry would have been deprived of equal rights in many instances. And nations should pay attention to that fact and do something about it. Unfortunately, for Guyana, we have seen oppression that is apparently almost unparalleled within this decade. We have seen Region 10 being one of the most populous in reference to those of African ancestry, treated as if that's where I'm from, as if we are genuinely considered to be lesser than human beings in the eyes of this PPP-Civic administration. And I'm saying to all Guyanese that this is your hour to stand and to make a determined effort that you have got the right, for the sake of justice and the sake of human consciousness, to stand for what is right. I promote unity because at the end of the day, all of us must be able to move this country forward. The Guyana that we destroy will be the Guyana that we have to rebuild. We can rebuild this nation or build upon what already exists if we are able to rid ourselves by standing in the streets of this nation, raising voices of strength and power to say to those on both sides who refuse to represent our interest that we will no longer entertain you, we shall no longer support you, and we shall no longer allow you to exercise dominance over us. This must be the age in which Guyanese understand that we are the ones who rule this country. That's why I don't refer to people in government as honorable and all the likes of it, because at the end of the day, you have to earn that title from me. That's why I said at the end of this broadcast, I always say that Irfan Ali sits in the seat of president. I don't see his president, because we are under a cloud. This is called an inconclusive electoral process we're in right now. It hasn't concluded because there are legal matters and legal proceedings about the elections. He's not president. He's sitting in the seat of it. And to know that Guyanese can sit and see these people continue to march all over us and step on the strength that we possess, this is our hour to arise with the strength of our foreparents and say enough is enough. This is the hour for the church to be loud in condemning that which we see is discriminatory and divisive. This is our moment, and it must be now.
Wow, what a note to end on. And I say, rise, Guyana, arise. Arise, Guyana, arise. And I'm asking all the Caribbean, if you're watching this, from wherever you are in the Caribbean. You're not Guyanese. Listen, you can't unhear this. You heard something today. Share this live. Share it and let's get it all over and let it be a cry from the entire Caribbean calling for the resignation of this vice president, unless we have some kind of investigation at a minimum. But things should not go on as normal in Guyana. It cannot. It's wrong. It's unjust. Everywhere in the Caribbean, let this be a Caribbean cry. We want an investigation into BHARRAT JAGDEO. That's what we want throughout the Caribbean. Amen. God bless you all and see you all for the Saturday edition at 11 a.m. right here on the Marcia Week Show. God bless you. Bye-bye. Thank you, gentlemen,
Thank you.
for being on
Do
today.
well.
God
Thanks
bless
for
you.
having
We're
me.
going to keep in touch. Bye, everybody. God bless you. Bye-bye,
Thanks for having
Siobhan.
me.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Miss Cummings. Bye, everybody. Bye.